Today's podcast is brought to you by a company who we have been using for years and takes up significant shelf space inside of our own kitchen. Biosteel Sports Nutrition.
It was a product created out of necessity 8 years ago and is trusted by athletes like Connor McDavid, Tyler Seguin, Brooke Henderson, Rosie MacLennan, and Andrew Wiggins.
They're really a leader in sports drinks for everyone from professional athletes to everyday champions.
Understand something, guys. Nothing worth ever having in this world comes easy.
Do what these champions doing if you're going to be a champion.
You control your outcome.
Who am I?
I'm a champion.
What up, champs, and welcome back to a brand new Biosteel Breakdown. As always, I'm your host, Adrian, with my co-host,
Sylvie.
Excuse me, and we're back breaking it down. I apologize. I have a frog in my throat. I don't know where that saying came from. But anyway, so if my voice cracks during this, my bad. If you're new to the segment, we do one of these every single Friday. If not, if you're a longtime listener, welcome back. We hope that this one's as informational as always, right? Should we head into it?
Let's dive into it.
All right. So today we're going to talk about sets and reps. And when you go to the gym, and we maybe take this for granted a lot of the times because we work so long in the industry, but when you go to the gym, excuse me, most people go in and have absolutely no idea what to do. Or maybe they have an exercise that they want to do. So they were on bodybuilding.com or T Nation, or they read a magazine, or a friend told them about this great exercise, this great Bulgarian split squat. And they get in there and they're excited to implement it, but they don't really know how. And so they just pick up a couple weights, do a couple reps, and then they just go on. And that's completely fair because I don't think that there's a lot of information out there on sets and reps, just for the average everyday person, or even for athletes in general. And when people do know, or the information that people do have, I think is kind of 10 years old from like a high school gym class, and your teacher said like maybe do 12 on the tricep kickback, and that's it. And so we want to update it.
Right. Yeah. So let's start with some goals. Like if you have specific goals.
Exactly. So I think there's three things that influence it. So those are your goals, your training age, and your available time. And so I think maybe we should go in inverse order on that. Available time is a good one to start. Like we don't have 3 hours to work out. And I say we as just a general statement, people don't have 3 hours to work out. Nor do you need 3 hours to work out, nor should you even really want to be in there for 3 hours. It's a long time. And if you're working with a trainer, or if you're a coach and you have a client coming in, then they definitely don't have 3 hours because it's blocked off typically, into 1 hour segments. And so if we decide to use 40 minutes of that workout doing 7 sets of 4, we've now accomplished nothing else. 10 to 15 for a warm up, a few minutes to shoot the breeze, a little cool down, and 7 sets of 4, and your entire workout is done. And that person only did one exercise, and chances are they're not going to come back, right? There needs to be more to that. So that's the first one. The next one is training age. And so that's not your age, but how long you have been training. And so, excuse me, the older you are in training years, the more work you'll be able to get done with the fewer number of reps. So you can have a higher number of sets and a fewer number of reps, and you can accomplish the goals that you're looking for. And that's because your body's adapted. It has spent years and years and years building up this strength base. And so now for you to get those additional gains with the Z, you're going to have lower rep ranges and higher weight. So you're going to have to stress your nervous system more. When you first start working out, you need those reps. One, because you probably don't know how to do the technique. And if you do, it's probably a little bit sloppy or a little bit weak. And so you need to spend time underneath a bar or with a dumbbell or whatever in the exercise, getting used to it. And then the second thing is your response to training will be significantly higher. So if you were to lift 40% of your 1 rep max, you would still get a lot of strength benefits. Whereas someone who's been training a long time might have to lift 85% of their 1 rep max. And if we're going to lift really heavy weights, you can't do a lot of them.
No.
Right? And you can't do a lot of them day after day after day after day. And so that's why it's really, really important to know what your training age is and what benefit you're going to get out of that. And then the last section of that is, of course, your goals. We need to know what we're attempting to do before we decide how many reps we're going to use and how many sets we're going to use. So if my goal is to get as strong as humanly possible, chances are picking up a weight 30 times is not going to do that. It's not going to add to my absolute strength or my maximal strength. What it is going to do is create some muscular endurance. And so if that's what I'm going for, perhaps I have a mountain climb coming up and I'm going to hike up mountain with a friend of mine. We're going to try and climb a certain summit, and muscular endurance might be important for that because I'm going to do a lot of steps every single day. So then that would be the goal. So when we're looking at rep ranges, I've broken these down into 3 different categories. These are general overarching ideas. Just as a quick go-to chart, of course, lots falls into other categories here. The first one is muscular endurance. That's your 15 to 20 rep range. The next one is 6 to 12. And that is for hypertrophy and some strength. So hypertrophy on the higher end, which is increasing the size of your muscle, and then strength towards the lower end. And then the last one would be 1 to 5, and that's strength power, where we're looking at our maximal strength and increasing our power output. And so when you operate in those areas, you have different nervous system responses. Which is why it's important to train in all of them. So you need to take time to spend a little bit of time in each segment. And that kind of leads into the next little topic that we're just going to touch on briefly, and it's about periodizing your training. And so we talked about this previously in an episode, but again, another good example of why you should periodize. You can't do everything all at the same time, and you shouldn't try and do everything all at the same time. So when you sit down at the start of the month, or you sit down at the start of the quarter, let's say, and you set some goals for yourself, whatever that might be, you can look to incorporate the rep ranges appropriately. And I would suggest that you start high and work low. So start up at the 15 to 20 rep range and then work your way down progressively into lower reps, 5s, triples, doubles, singles, whatever it is. That way your body has time to get used to the exercise. It has time to adapt to the tension. It has time to increase its tendon strength, its ligament strengths, its general preparedness, so that when you go and lift heavier weights, you're safe. In terms of sets, 3 to 5 is a good gauge. If you're going higher, stick to 3. If you're going lower on the reps, you can go up to 5. If you start getting to 6, 7, 8, your workouts are going to take a really, really long time. And so unless that's intentional, unless you're a power lifter, power athlete, unless there's a specific goal to do with that outside of just general health, that would be the suggestion. Anything? I just talked there. I just spewed off there for 7 minutes straight.
All good. I think we covered it all.
Do you have any questions?
No.
Any comments, concerns?
No. I think that was pretty straightforward.
Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any more questions on this, feel free to shoot us a message. There's a ton of great resources out there and a lot of awesome strength coaches breaking it down from a much more technical perspective. Hopefully this is a little piece and a little taste to go with you into the weekend. As always, head over to our sponsor, Biosteel, biosteel.com, and you can use the code word
Champ Lifestyle, capital C, capital L.
And you can grab yourself 15% off your very next order. We'll be back next Friday, brand new episode. Thanks, guys.